When he was young, he used to cut hair in his mother's garage. And anyone who knew him back then would never believe he'd become one of the most famous hairdressers in Manhattan. Because before the spotlights, before the magazines, Alex Monroe was just a poor kid from the Kansas countryside. And it was there, revisiting his silent past and through a lost dog, that he rediscovered his inner peace and the love of a family. That's it. Hit the like and let's get started.
Before moving to the big city and starting to work here at the Salon, I used to live in the countryside of Kansas. But that day, I was passing near Riley County, a place that looked straight out of an old Western movie, you know? One of those tiny towns where everyone knows each other. I was just passing through, heading back home. And honey, it was freezing cold. That's when I saw him. On the side of the road, near a gas station, a caramel-colored dog crouched under a long wooden bench, dirty fur, suspicious little eyes. That sight broke my heart. I looked at him. He looked at me, head to toe, and I swear it was love at first sight, at least on my part. The approach was awkward. I reached out my hand. He growled, showed his teeth, but wagged his tail, as if to say, "Keep trying, darling. I'll give in soon." So I had an idea. I bought a hot meat pastry at the gas station, came back to him, still there. I crouched down and left a piece on the ground. He came slowly, ate it, then just stared at me, like he was deciding if it was worth leaving that cold bench. That's when I noticed his collar, worn out with the initials MAX engraved. I thought maybe that was a clue to his owner, or maybe, just maybe, his name. From that moment, I started calling him Max. I even took a picture to post online, but decided to help him first. If not to find his family, at least to give him a new life with me. "Hey, buddy, got another piece of that meat for me?" I smiled as he looked at me with that dirty snout and those bright, hungry eyes. I gave him another piece. This time, he almost took my hand with it. He ate and wagged his tail harder, like he was finally trusting me. We walked around the station. I asked some folks if they knew who he belonged to, but everyone said no. Then suddenly, a deep growl broke the silence. From behind a broken fence, a huge dog appeared, filthy fur, teeth showing, coming right at us. Max froze, then backed away and ran straight into my arms, tail between his legs, shaking. Poor thing. I think I was more scared than he was. The other dog kept coming, and my heart nearly stopped. Holding Max tight, I bent down suddenly as if to grab a stone. Thank God it worked. The beast froze, stepped back, and ran away with a sharp, fearful yelp. I whispered to Max, "Whew, that was close, huh?" We kept walking down that old country road. The sky was changing. Clouds heavy, cold wind cutting through my skin, and the smell of wet earth announcing the storm. We ran into an abandoned barn, door half open. Inside, the smell of rotten wood and dust. Minutes later, the rain poured down. I leaned against the wall. Max came close, rested his head on my leg, and finally gave in. He fell asleep, trusting me completely. I smiled and let myself rest too. When the storm ended, he woke me up, stretching, shaking off the dust, and looking at me like, "Come on, let's go." We walked again and met an old man strolling down the road. I asked about the dog. He said, "I think I've seen that one before." I pointed to the collar. "It says MAX right here." And he replied, "There's a man named Max at the farm down the road. Red house after the curve." I froze. Max? The dog's name the same as the farmer's? Coincidence? Maybe. But I felt we were on the right path. We crossed a narrow wooden bridge. Max looked down at the muddy water, like he wanted to jump in. Honey, don't you dare, I said nervously. Thankfully, he made it across safely. Then, a narrow road lined with tall trees, forming a green tunnel. The rain still dripping from the leaves, it looked cinematic. Until Max froze, body stiff, staring at a man standing on the porch ahead. I waved, said good afternoon. No reply. He just stood there, hands in his pockets, watching us. Gave me the chills. Later, I'd find out he was an old, deaf and blind man living alone in that house. We kept walking, and finally the red house appeared. Paint faded, chickens scorching the ground, and that smell of green, wet country air. Then Max stopped. Ears up, nose twitching. He pulled me faster, like he knew. On the porch, a young girl with a faded blue dress playing with her dolls. She looked up, saw Max, and froze. He froze too. They stared at each other, like magic. She dropped the dolls, stood up slowly, eyes wide. Then she whispered, "Max." I nodded. That was it. He bolted to her, tail wagging like crazy, and she threw her arms around him, laughing and crying. I just stood there, awkwardly smiling. Then she screamed, "Daddy, Daddy, come quick!" A man appeared in the doorway, 50s, rugged hat, work-worn face. Handsome, in the most simple, raw way. When he saw his daughter hugging Max, his eyes lit up, and he let out a laugh, half cry, half joy. "Max, my friend, where have you been?" He rushed to pet him, finding new scars on his fur. And I felt my chest tighten. I had grown attached to that dog. But I knew this was his home. I explained how I'd found him by the gas station. He shook my hand firmly and said, "Thank you, my friend. You've been an angel to us." I smiled, trying not to tear up. Seeing your happiness is more than enough. Max turned back to me, looked deep into my eyes, and wagged his tail, like saying, "Stay." I petted him and whispered, "Good boy, you're home." In the end, maybe I was the one who needed a friend back then, and that's what I found. I became close to that family, and every time I have a break from the salon, I go back there. Because Max is special, and deep down, I know I didn't just fall in love with the dog. I fell in love with that family, and with the simple, solitary way of that beautiful man who seemed to carry the weight of the world on his shoulders. Life brought us together, and today we're not just friends. We're friends and confidants. He knows how I feel about him, and I think he feels the same.
We'd love to hear your story as well. Don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.